Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.
Okay, small boat, huge adventure. We still. Oh, there it goes. Hopefully this will run smooth today. In fact, look at the dirty camera. Why is that? It looks a bit fuzzy. Maybe it's the light. I don't know. Anyway, we're here and we moved yesterday. We moved from the main pool around to the marina, which is by the entrance to Voodoo Marina. So that's cool. And that little, often we question why we do some things in life, okay? And that this little photo here that I had at the start, shooting Doji 2, and that's a guy on board there called Minoru Sato. Now, to cut to the quick, Minoru Sato in this boat, which I built for him back in 1989, so he could race in the BOC Challenge with me, against me, together. We did it together. Crazy story, crazy guy, who I first met when he was about 53 or something, 52 or 53. He'd just finished a sailing course and came to Australia, had a rendezvous. He wanted to get into solo sailing and stuff. And the long and the short of it, this boat, he did 7 solo circumnavigations in it, 3 BOCs and all the other ones. And then he did another one later on. And so he is absolute giant in his own way. A lot of fun, this, that, and the other. Anyway, last night, about midnight, got the message that he finally passed away. He was 91. And he had a heart problem in 1988. I helped him buy a boat and did bits and pieces, and then he was part of our 1988 around Australia race. And he had a heart problem. I found him a crew. We found a crew to put on board because it was two-handed. And anyway, the long and the short of it, he gets into Darwin and he has a heart attack. And that was the end of his round Australia race, of course. That was in 88. And he always lived with the heart problem, dropping nitroglycerin tablets under his tongue and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, he went on to do all of those circumnavigations and, so many laughs, so many memories, all that. So there's a huge number of backstories there. But anyway, it's all over. He's, he's passed and sailing on. But, what a life. It was incredible, the things that he did. And, a lot of people know him. He's a great friend and all that sort of stuff. So these guys out now in the 580, they're creating their memories from their life. And a lot of them have got challenges. There's a lot that didn't make it to the start even, because there's so much involved and there's a lot of sacrifice. Look at Dan and Nikki and stuff. But when you look back at it, what's it all about? Why, it's what you do. And, at the end of the day, one day you'll be thinking, oh, that's cool. The next day you're probably dead. And so life is something to be cherished and something to be used and make the most of it while you can. So I'm very proud of all the 580s. Anyway, let's get on to the tracker. And it's all about weather. You're going to be really amazed at what's going on. And there's winners and losers with all of this. So you've got the tracker there. And I've got the tracker here. And this is where it starts to get interesting. I mean, I think it's fair to say that we've all been used to the situation with trade winds. And trade winds, as much as they're fantastic, they can be incredibly boring because nothing ever changes. And so it's just every morning you get up and it's not where it's going to blow from, it's just how hard it's going to blow and how many squalls you're going to have. But things are going to change. From now on, when they go through, there will be some weather systems happening which will affect different boats at different times. So it's the luck of the draw. Certainly now, if we come back and look at Popeye and John, I got a message from John this morning, and when I was looking at Popeye last night, if you look at this, if you look at Popeye's course, if I come up to it here, I'll increase the snail trail. I sort of thought, okay, they're coming down to Papiete at the bottom here. Why is Popeye going northwest? He's sailing away from the mark. And obviously he knows what he's doing. He's sailing. It's just the wind wasn't as forecast here, and they had a big wind shift and squalls and bits and pieces, and so they couldn't go where they wanted to go. They've made a tactical decision to go around the Tuamotus completely, which means they're going to have to head south. And John sent me a message. Hang on, I've got to get my phone. This morning, and I'll read you the message. It's quite prophetic to I think that's the correct sort of word. Where are we? Here we go. Um, um, okay, hi there. Very light conditions out here. Interesting few days ahead with a quick southerly change. I'm sure I could have gone the same route as the others in the mini globe race, but was just a bit nervous about drifting around the atolls if the wind died off. And so now he's saying they've got a forecast for a southerly wind coming up, and if they do, their course down to Papeete is pretty much south, so it's going to be headwinds. Although he might be referring to the local weather they got, which is possibly, I was going to say part of this, but if it was, that'd be giving them a there's a little bit of a patch there. If we scroll back, possibly, I don't know. I'm not sure where the southerly came from, but it must have got something because it pushed Popeye out in that direction. Anyway, looking at the weather now, I'll put it back here and let's see what happens to him. Currently, Popeye's been doing 3.3, only made 15 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. Part of that is because he sailed the distance, but he sailed away from the mark. So he would have travelled further through the water, but not to the destination in Papeete. And John doing 3.2, did 31 nautical miles, again, because he's partially sailing away, but they're not moving fast. And let's just look at their weather as we go through. Okay, so it's very light, but I'm not seeing a southerly, so John should be happy with that, although light, super light. There's not a lot of breeze there. And then here comes the southerly. Okay, but it's going to not hold very long because you can see down below the screen there'll be a system there, and it's rotating around to the southeast. So, but it's going to be on the nose for sure. They're going to be on the nose. So I'll probably get pushed past it. So this is on the 12th, so 10th, 11th, 12th. So give you a distance perspective for John when he gets going. That's 100. Yeah, it depends how quick he gets going, but he's 180 miles from the mark, so they're definitely going to get stuff on the nose. They'll be pushed out a little bit to the west, I think, and then have to work their way back. Because the further west they go, the more they've got to come into the southeasterly. So there may be a few delays for John and Popeye getting into Papeete, but there's nothing that looks too bad. Although I've got to just remind everyone, on one of the occasions we went from Apataki, which is an atoll out here, we came across, and the forecast looked like this. It was going to be 15 to 20 knots, and we ended up getting 45, gusting 50 for like 18 hours. We got nailed for 4 or 5 meter seas. It was in a lagoon 450, so we were bouncing around doing all sorts of stuff. Anyway, you never know what you get in that part of the world because there's all these influencing factors, but that's part of the adventure. So coming on, Mark's heading out there doing 3.4, so they're having fun. And poor old Gary. Now this is where weather for Gary, he's lucked out big time. You can see he's basically going nowhere. He's going to start to get a breeze now on the forecast, but in the last 24 hours, he's done a grand total of 14 nautical miles. The wind's been all over the place. I'll read you. I've got to go to Facebook now because Gary sent me a Facebook message. Wait for a second. I'll come back here, and I've got to open up Messenger. Come on. Open up Messenger. It's waiting. Here it comes. Gary. I've got his message. I should have had it open for you. Anyway, here it comes. Better wait for it. It's quite a good one. Hi, Don. It's really starting to get to me now. Yesterday afternoon till 3 a.m. Dead calm. Then light westerly at 4 a.m. Westerly, just what I needed. And this morning, a huge squall of about maybe 30 to 45 minutes from the west. Then, guess what? Dead calm again. I drifted 4 miles east last night. Pretty impressive. Windy says a light southerly later this morning. Getting a few light puffs now. Anyway, not much I can do except sit and wait and drift. Other than that, it was a beautiful night last night with the full moon. Sure was. And anyway, I just said, master of the understatement, hey? Yes, hard luck, but as you know, it happens. Strangely, when it happens to me, after the frustration, I switch off and look at it as, wow, check this out. Drifting. I've got a mosquito flying around me. That's why I'm banging. Drifting in the world of your own, which is usually beautiful. enjoy the experience and memories. Some are doing it tough in the world, and we're all very lucky, which we are. So living it with you, be sure, as for sure, as are your followers. Enjoy. So poor Gary has been nailed there, but hopefully he'll get going and won't be too late getting into Fiji, because he's going straight past. He'll go through the same area of Pangai, but he's not stopping. We've given him a dispensation, and we add those 8 days to his time on the water, effectively, so he's not getting a sneak advance forward. Anyway, let's look at the forecast that he's going to get. So if we just push that forward a day, yeah, it's got a southerly coming in. Southerly will be a reach, just as I described yesterday. Might get a bit wet, but it's okay. And then it'll slowly swing around. And then if we're lucky, he might get a bit of a run then. We'll just go through a few days and see what it's like. There's the 13th. Oh, boy, he's right on the edge of it. Oh, boy. Don't go south, Gary, if you're watching this. Stay north of the rum line. There's no wind below you. In fact, I'd probably, when it's blowing south, I'd angle up a bit, get up about where Josh was going through, for sure. So anyway, generally in the right direction, so that's cool. Now, Josh, bring the weather back to now. Boom, there it is. Josh is looking okay. We'll pick this up, and here he is. He's doing 3.7 knots, did 96 miles. He's very close now, and that will be good for him. He'll want to get there before everyone else leaves. 110 miles, so he's going to be in a day and a bit, and he'll be there, which is kind of nice. It'll be a daylight arrival, and the forecast for that is still trade wind stuff by the look of it. Yep, plenty of breeze. So Josh is on a roll. Now, here goes Renaud, streaming away, and next one away will be Dan. He'll be leaving, if I remember correctly, sometime today. So 4.7 knots, 114 mile, not in the last 24 hours, because it's now coming up to 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, another 2 hours. So he's got another couple of hours. So he will have been he'll do a 130-mile day today. He's got perfect weather. And it's basically no difference. If he had been leaving up the top, he'd have the same weather. So that's cool for him. But here's where it gets very interesting. Now, imagine this. You've got the whole fleet, the rest of the fleet, and some of them, Eric and Kerry, are sitting in Pangai, and you've got the rest of them up there in Vivau, and they're looking at their departure time. So Dan leaves sometime later today, and then it'll be about another day later. It'll be Peeler, I think it is, yep, and then it'll be Kerry, and so it goes. And the distance across is about 500 miles, so it's going to take them 4.5 to 5 days, depending on their speed. So I'm going to push the weather through now, and you'll see what's going to happen. And then all the others start leaving a few days later. So at the moment on the 10th, you've got a pretty nice breeze there, trade wind, so Renaud's making the most of that. That's going to push him along well. We've got the 11th, and you can see there straight away, this happens. You've got, still trade winds, but you've got a bit of a wind shadow there from Fiji, a bit of a dark area. Or an area of no wind, but Renaud's still sailing. Now, Holiday Dan is away, and Peeler is starting to get ready to go, and all of a sudden it's starting to run out of breeze here. And that'll be driven by what's going on down the bottom here, right? You can see this big trough. So the trades are being pushed north. So the guys and girls leaving a couple of days later, 2 to 3 or 4 days later, they're going to go through a much lighter patch of wind. So you can see Renaud's getting a huge break here by taking off as the leader. All right. So we're going through the 13th, and there's still nice breeze. They'll still be moving, so that's looking okay. And then we've got the 14th. Now, around about here, I reckon Renaud's going to arrive sometime on sometime Friday the 13th, or maybe even Saturday, but it's looking more like Friday now, maybe. And this will be a challenge here in the lee of the island because it's not southeasterly, right? It's coming westerly, and there's light winds, so he might slow down at the very end. The rest of the fleet's got average easterlies coming through with the trades, and then everything starts to change again by the look of it. Generally light and fluffy, things happening. There's the 14th. So, and then the guys at the back, there's going to be a few days of sustained very light winds, so it's going to be very slow. for the 15, 16, and so on. So that's that one. Now the challenge here, and this is an interesting point, I'm going to explain it to you. The challenge I'll bring it back to today's weather. The challenge with coming into Vuda is that you have the main island here, pretty big hills, and you quite regularly get calmer winds in the lagoon. There's actually a lagoon there. I'll show you the lagoon. So their final approach is going to be tricky. It always is. We've come back and forwards here probably 20 times, more back and forwards, 20 or more. And when you sail down here, it's usually a nice sail down. You get to the reefs here. I'll pick this up, and you come through the reefs, and it's still a very pleasant sail. And when you come through by the main opening down the back here, there's a ship's pass in here that's lit for nighttime navigation, or an open one a bit further down. It doesn't show you the lagoon. You come in and you usually have a pleasant sail. It calms down completely and you've got a nice breeze. You're not going to go fast like the trades. You're not going to be doing 6 knots, but you'll be doing 2-3 knots, and you toodaloo along all the way to the finish line in front of Vuda Marina. And we've set the finish line here at the very end because that's part of what you'd have to do if you were cruising, or if you were doing a voyage around the world, or if you were just like John Guswell in Tracker. If you want to get into Vuda, that's what you do. He had a little seagull outboard, but you sail. And if you can't sail and there's no wind and there's current or something, you drop the anchor and wait. And then when the breeze picks up again, because you do get a bit of a sea breeze effect here sometimes, and it comes around the other way late in the afternoon, but you sail it. So it will be challenging, but that's part of the challenge. The reason we have an auxiliary finish line here is if there's bad weather, right? And it can happen. So you take that, and then it means they've got to sail away from the reef and so on. But that's not expected. So this is always the finish line, and it will create challenges. There's no question. But we've done that on purpose because these guys are voyaging. What's the point of having a finish line, which is an easy line where you got sails, and then you go to the finish and under motor or whatever? It's like the Derwent, the Sydney Hobart. How many times have you seen Sydney Hobart boats come roaring down the coast of Tasmania, turn the corner, and the whole race changes because there's no wind in the Derwent? And that's the challenge. The challenge is to get to this finish line through the wind shadow and sail your way all the way up through the lagoon as if you were a solo sailor in your little boat, and there's no one else and there's no race. It's just a voyage. So watch this space. It's going to be quite interesting. Okay, so I think we're done with the tracker there, and we can come back here and see who's around, and say g'day. A few people there. So it's going to get more fun. That's what's going to happen. But you will see some situation now where weather creates opportunities and it creates disasters. Not disasters, touch wood, but creates, some people are going to get a better deal than others, but that's the name of sailing. And we've got about 18,000 miles to go. So it doesn't matter. Never over till the fat lady sings. Okay, that's it. Reload and charge. Great update. Historical orbit. Thanks. Morning, watching Facebook today. It's Captain Joey, Hoy from Fort Lauderdale. Jeepers, wild weather. Hope they show mast rigs and wake. Yeah, love to feel it. Yeah, no, it's an amazing experience that they're all going through, and see what fun they're having up in Vivau. That's pretty cool. Christine's photos there, so all good. Okay, if you want to know about Minoru, if you get onto my Facebook page, there's a link on Wikipedia and everything, and he's quite an amazing story, amazing guy, and we're great mates. We spent a long time together and back in the good old days. So long ago, it was 40 years ago. Unbelievable. Anyway, all good. Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you all tomorrow, and Renaud will have Dan chasing him down. Let's see what happens.
Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.